Hey, what's up? It's Jesse here, and in today's video, I'm giving you 4 quick tips to pull far younger girls out of bars and clubs and get them into your bed for same night lays. Specifically, I'm talking about girls who are 18, 19, 20 years old, girls just out of high school, freshman college girls, sophomores, and just pull them out of there for one night stands where she'll ditch your friends to go home with you, even if you're a far older guy, even if you're in your 30s or 40s and 50s. And yes, it can be done. I'm going to show you how. And even if you're a young guy, in your early 20s yourself, these rules all still apply and you need to listen up. Now, before we begin, I want you to download and grab the Pull Far Younger Girls cheat sheet that I made for you. It's going to be that very first link that you find down in the description below. This little cheat sheet has all the tips in this video written down for you, but also includes some super extra handy bonus tips that are not in this video for dating far younger girls. So even if you're an older gentleman, even far older, you can start dating younger girls with this little cheat sheet. So just take a quick second, pause the video, grab that free little guide, and then come right on back here. So yeah, most older gentlemen think that younger girls are not going to be that interested in them, which is not true. A lot of these younger girls, 18, 19, 20, they want to meet older gentlemen in their 30s and 40s and even 50s. A lot of these girls even have a fantasy for it. There's just a lot of social pressure in society, from her parents, from her friends, to make her feel guilty for it. So it all comes down to how you handle yourself to make it okay for her. Because how you pull a girl who is 19 years old is different in many ways from a girl who is, say, 25 years old. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do in this video right now. This is some super magic potent stuff that yields amazing results once you just hear it. So listen up. There's a couple of little differences with younger women who are just out of high school or in college from even women who are a little bit older, say 23 or 24, 25. First, really young women are a lot more uncomfortable with their sexuality. They usually just don't have much life experience to go on. In many cases, a 19-year-old girl has been heavily protected and heavily guarded by her parents. She's likely been told by all the authority figures around her that sex is bad and that she should abstain. She's probably been shamed by her friends at school, at least indirectly, where certain girls get labeled as the school slut, and she doesn't want that to happen to her. And she's probably not had that many sexual partners, sometimes none. And the guys she did sleep with, often they have no idea what they're doing either. So a really young woman, her experiences with sex will tend to be quite limited. She'll tend to be confused on her position and where she stands, looking mostly to see what her friends think. And you gotta understand that a woman, 18, 19 years old, she's only been an adult for 1 or 2 years. Whereas a woman by age 25, she's already got 5 times, 500% the amount of life experience being an adult and making adult decisions. So there is a huge difference between a girl who is, say, 19 and a girl who is 25. So a young woman who is 18 or 19 or 20, she's often flat out more uncomfortable with her sexuality. And everything is going to be a more unique experience for her. Most likely she's never been with a guy much older than herself. Another characteristic of these very young women is that they are very worried about their social reputations. High school is very tribal. These very young women get stuck in these small bubbles with small groups of friends. They feel enormous amounts of social pressure and peer pressure to conform. And to them, it feels like this very small world is everything. These young women can easily get depressed, even suicidal, when they feel like they're in the out group or an outcast. And their social reputation is everything to them in this very small world. And it's sort of the same deal for young men too, to some extent. But women are particularly concerned about fitting in, blending in, being accepted by the group, even way more so than young guys. So when you spot a particularly young woman out at night, you gotta understand that she's typically extremely concerned about her social reputation, which is very different from a woman who is, say, 28 or 29 and is much more independent thinking by then. But at age 18, 19, 20, it's very heavily groupthink with her little group of friends. The hive mind. What does her friend think about this? What does her other friend think about that? What would her parents think? And young girls tend to spend countless hours chatting with each other on the phone, which to a guy like myself and the you would sound like hours and hours of nonsense, pointless chatter about nothing. But these girls, what they're really doing, the subtext of it is, they're pinging off each other to determine what is socially acceptable behavior. They chat with their friends constantly to determine what they can get away with, what will enhance their social reputation, what will damage their social reputation. And these really young women are generally obsessed. I mean, obsessed with fitting into their little group. So when you meet a particularly young woman out at night at, say, a bar or a club, and she's the age of a freshman in college or a sophomore, you have to understand her situation. 1, usually she's not that comfortable with her sexuality yet. 2, everything is a unique experience for her. It's all very new to her and very exciting. 3, she's very concerned about preserving her social reputation with her group. And she and her friends make all their decisions as a group. And she's continually pinging off her friends for validation, for acceptance, for figuring out what is socially appropriate behavior. So here's my tip for pulling these younger 18, 19, and 20-year-old girls. Normally I recommend that when you see a group of slightly older women, what you do is first open and approach the girl you like. That girl you have your eye on. That girl you like. Go in there, energize her up with some charged excitement, and get your target girl chasing after you and interested first. And then, after you've gotten a little bit of interest from her, then turn to her friends and handle the friends as needed. You do need to spend time handling her friends because if they're feeling completely ignored and left out, they're going to feel a little bit jealous, they might start getting bored, and they're going to try to snatch her away from you. But if all the women are a little bit older, you usually have some leeway there at least to pull her off of her friends, at least for a few minutes. She's usually at least somewhat independent from her friends. But with a really young woman, she often feels she can't talk to a guy at all without first getting approval from her group. If you go up to her first and try to talk to her alone, even for just a minute, she's going to be desperately concerned about what her friends are thinking. And a lot of times, it's not going to go well for you. That's just how young women are. So what you're going to do instead is approach and talk to the whole group of friends first. Say she's in a group of 4 friends. You want to go in and open the entire group like a bomb of energy. Get all 4 of those girls amped up with some charged excitement. Get all 4 of those girls interested in chasing you. And then, only once all the girls in the group think you're this cool-ass, interesting dude, then you turn to the girl you really like and begin paying more attention to her. Because now she's seen that all of her friends like you. So she's had plenty of time now to ping off her friends for their reactions to you and get their approval first. And then she'll feel a lot more comfortable getting swept into building sexual tension with you. And yet, even then, you're still going to keep interacting with the entire group. In a way, with these really young women, don't think of it as stealing her away from her friends because she's never going to do that. Instead, you need to integrate yourself with their group. So instead of it being a group of 4 girls here and you're over here as the outsider, it's got to become more like one big mix set that just happens to have 4 girls and a guy, where you took over the group as the leader, where you set the tone, where you set the lead, where you set the vibe of the whole group, and she and the group look to you for exciting energy and direction. That is the ideal way to go after these just out of high school girls at night. Now, doing it like that is a bit harder. To take over the whole group of flighty, much younger girls easily distracted by stimulation. You have to go in cocky as hell, dominant like a rock, loud and big and unstifled with the words just flowing, and know how to create that charged excitement and lead the group. Also building that thick sexual tension with your target while also keeping all our friends happy. That's why even guys who kind of know this stuff, they're kind of good at pickup, usually they're not pulling these really hot younger girls at night. Because it's a harder skill set to learn. Most guys that know some pickup theory, usually they're opening women who are in their later 20s, 30s, who are a little easier to handle. But do not worry, because there is a specific way to take over the girl's entire group which you can find in my program. I show you how to do that. But that's just often what you gotta do with these younger in-demand women. I know it takes a greater skill set, but that's just the way it is. Fortunately for you, my friend, because so few guys bother to learn how to do it, once you get the formula down, you can literally clean up with these very young women. Because these inexperienced young women will have never met a guy like you before, and you have no competition. My next tip for pulling younger women is that you have to ramp slower and gentler to sexual tension. For example, with a cougar or a MILF in her 30s, if you've got her attention and she's excited by you, you can often leap into very heavy sexual tension with her very quickly. You don't need to beat around the bush so much. For example, with a slightly older woman, you can often give her a very direct sexual compliment pretty quickly. Like you can tell her, you know what? You look sexy as hell. And hold real intense eye contact with her. You can put your lips right up to her ear and whisper. You can just slow that pace down, put in lots of pauses. With a slightly older woman, you can tell her things like, should we buy a minivan? Because you're looking at me like you want me to put a baby in it. And just start making all the moves to get her really turned on. And for slightly older women, if she likes you, she'll usually just roll with it. And she'll often go along with it and really enjoy it because 1, she's more experienced, 2, she's more in tune with her sexuality, and 3, she doesn't give a damn what other people think so much. But with far younger women, like 18, 19, 20, you often have to ramp into that sexual tension more gently, more slowly. You don't want to get too explicit with her. You don't want to move along too quickly, or you can freak her out. When she's just out of high school or freshman in college, you have to rely more on sexual innuendo and suggestiveness. And look, all these concepts are outside the scope of this video, or it's going to be 5 hours long, but I do cover them all in my course. But the larger point is, yeah, with younger girls, be less explicit, be more suggestive, with a slower, gentler ramp into sexual tension. The next tip for pulling young women is you've got to understand that you're rarely ever going to separate her from her friends. You meet a girl out on the town, she's with 3 or 4 of her friends, and she's 18 or 19 or 20 years old. She's not gonna ditch her friends for you, no matter how damn cool or hot stuff you think you are. She's never gonna tell her friends, oh, girlfriend number 1 and girlfriend number 2. Yeah, you two. I just met this really cool guy, and I'm ditching you all, and I'm leaving with him. Goodbye. Younger women in particular are just not going to do that. You get a little bit older, slightly older women will often do that. They'll ditch their friends if you set things up right for them, but not real young girls. Because she's still in that high school mentality, that high school little bubble where what her friends think is everything to her, and her friends are usually pretty judging people. So with real young women, my suggestion is don't even try to separate her from her friends. Don't even try because it so rarely pays off and you're just going to waste time. I'd suggest instead either one of these 2 courses of action I'm about to give you. Option number 1 is you get her phone number, you get her social media, and the very next day you set up that date with her. So you meet her out on that first date, but now you're alone with her, away from the judging eyes of her friends. And then, my friend, you pull her back to your place off that first date. Because on that first date, her friends aren't going to be there. She's going to feel a lot more free. She won't feel that judging social pressure, that heavy energy on her anymore. And that is when you can get some action with her. Or option number 2 is, instead of trying to separate the girl from her group of friends, instead, you want to take over the whole group and pull that group of girls to an after party. Or pull the girl and all of her friends to a late night diner. Or pull the girl you like and all of her friends back to your place for an after party, which is really just hanging out in your living room or on the balcony. And you're kind of playing the game here of last man standing, where the friends just eventually get tired or leave. Or you're just able to change venues where your logistics are a little bit better and you can pull the girl you like, say, into a bathroom for a little action with her. Again, that's the big strategy picture, and I'm not going to go into all the little details here because this video would become incredibly long. But again, it's all laid out for you in my course if you're interested in doing it yourself. Now, the next tip for pulling far younger women is you want to focus more on using devalidation. withholding validation from them. For example, you wouldn't tell a hot little 19-year-old hottie, "You're so beautiful. You're so sexy. You're an angel that has fallen from heaven." Instead of just throwing validation down at her feet, you want to be withholding that validation instead. For example, you ask her, "Where are you from, girl?" And she says, maybe Orlando. "Oh, Orlando? You? Really?" And you just roll your eyes with a cheeky little smile and you let her react. "What? What's wrong with Orlando? What's wrong with Orlando?" You see what you did there? You just yanked that validation from underneath her feet and you're toying with her a bit. Or you say to her, "What's your favorite color, girl?" "Blue." "Blue? You gotta be kidding me. Blue, I can't even, girl, you're losing me here. I thought I liked you, but now we're gonna need to get divorced. And we haven't even gone on our honeymoon yet." Now, of course, no matter what the age of the woman, you want to get her chasing your validation. Any woman, at any age, that's a critical tool in your toolbox. But especially with particularly young women, you want to use it even more. You want to use chasing validation a lot. And why is that? Well, it's real simple. It's because these young women are so concerned, they're so obsessed with group and peer approval and being validated and being accepted, that when you toy and you kind of mess with their sense of validation, of course in a purely fun way, in a playful way, in a joking way where she's enjoying the chase, it doesn't work if you're too serious, it doesn't work if you're a dick. But when you toy and you mess with their sense of validation in a fun and playful way, it gets these real young ladies chasing after you and chasing after your approval hard. And I mean real hard. And they love it. Messing, toying with their sense of validation, it's like feeding an addict. So yeah, with these real young women, get them chasing after your validation a lot. More than you would with a slightly older woman. Now, my fifth tip is you want to know exactly what to say to a girl, because particularly when you're talking to a young woman and she's got all this stimulation around her and her friends are pulling her this way and they're pulling her that way, and other men are hitting on her left and right, and she's drinking possibly, and she's young and she's pretty and she gets easily bored, she gets easily distracted. If you try to chat that girl up and you stall, if you run out of things to say and you just let the energy drop, she'll often just excuse herself and leave. So right now I'm telling you, you want to grab my free guide, How to Talk Her Panties Off, right here at talker.com. Now, this is not my complete course. Rather, it's a free guide for how to talk to a girl and how to keep that charged excitement up and build that sexual tension with her. And build it in a way that she wants to rip your clothes right off your body, even if you're much older than her, or even if you're not the best looking guy. So take a second, go to talker.com and grab my guide. It'll be a real eye-opener for you, and you'll become the most interesting man she's ever met. So there you go. Those are my tips for pulling younger girls from bars and clubs and parties and nighttime venues. Now I've got some more videos here about younger women you're gonna wanna watch, like how to shag far younger girls, the 3 big mistakes that all guys make, and instant fixes. And my other video, you're gonna see them here on the screen, my #1 tip to sleep with younger women and teens. Very controversial. So go check out those 2 videos right now. Links right here on the screen. All right, thanks for joining me, my friend. This was a ton of fun, and I will catch you next time. Jesse out.